Well, are we going to be going into a recession? Well, my I figure my guess is just as good as the people on TV or the economists. Welcome to the superpilotish channel. My name's Graham Wilson, and today I'm going to be putting on. Well, we're going to assume that this flat cap is a economist cap or political analyst cap, although I don't really do politics, and I'll be talking about just what I see, anyways, that might or might not cause a recession, and I'll be doing that in my basement, like I always do. Hey, Shecky, and hey, Safety Doc. So, yeah, it kind of what I'm doing here today is a little nod to the safety doc there, Dr. David Perrodin, who actually has the velocity of information. That's his latest book. The velocity of information is now available on audiobook. So, Dr. David Perrodin, uh, we're doing today. I'm going to do a little of what he calls face validity. So what do what do the economists say, what do the professionals say, as opposed to what do I see on its face? Is this true? What's going on? Are we going to have a recession? I don't know. And hey, Jim, hey, Shecky. So yeah, so I was thinking about the aviation industry, and it's been at least when I'm involved in the like the instruction end of it, and you hang out at the airport, you talk to people, and you hear this and you hear that, and you see what's going on with your neighbors. And yeah, we could be going into a recession at some point. Wouldn't surprise me if we did. And hey, Rich. And so there's just it's kind of like a shortage of, well, basically, I'll narrow it down to all the baby boomers are retiring. So it's kind of like a labor shortage, but that has a ripple effect. Wrench is saying here too that aviation is so expensive now. Yeah. So I kind of took a few little notes and wrote them down here, and we'll kind of summarize the basement expert ideas on it. And you might or might not agree, and feel free to leave a comment. When I'm done the show here or in the chat, and we'll figure this thing out and get through this recession or non-recession or whatever it is. So what I see is that, and it's been happening, pre-pandemic shutdown, whatever you want to call it, that there was the airlines were gobbling up all the young instructors, low time instructors. So it's kind of like the airlines, all those senior guys are retiring, a few women in there too, and that's still ongoing. That cohort of baby boomers is still. Depending on like what country you're in, it's right around 65, 60. There's still a whole lot of people there, and so those pilots are still retiring, and the aviation industry is getting bigger, but it's not. So you have to replace. This is just looking at the pilot level. Is that there's kind of the people getting into the right seat on your commuter airlines. They're lower time than they used to be. Now they're fully qualified to do that. But what's happening now, because there's just so much I don't know, vacuum up at the top sucking all the little instructors up there, those little instructors kids, is that there's kind of like a shortage at the bottom, and that slows things down. So, I mean, what happens, and just to illustrate that, is what, say, like 20 years ago, to get to become a co pilot at Air Canada, that would take you at least 8 to 10 years working somewhere else to get into that. Okay, now you're a co pilot. Now that'll take you, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Some people go directly right from flight college into that but to go through flight college would be about 3 years. So I'd say, like, 3 years versus 8 to 10. That's quite a big difference. And so another thing that is kind of slowing down the amount of instructors that can produce the people that are going in to replace the baby boomers, and then filling up the ranks. And this is like the instructors will, they teach. There's also a lot of people our baby boomers that now they got all this time and money, they want to learn how to fly too. So there's a big demand for instructors everywhere. And then it's kind of like a different, I guess it would be a different generational thing that way back when, I don't know, say 20 years ago, people would move anywhere in Canada. Like, I'll move up to the Arctic. I don't care. I got to get my foot in the door with the aviation industry. And now it's people are like, yeah, I'll sit around in my mom's basement in Toronto for, a little while till I can sneak in here. And like, nobody wants to move to another town. It's, everything's paid for at home. So why eat ramen noodles and craft dinner up in the Arctic Circle if you don't have to? I kind of don't blame them. But anyways, that's causing a bit of a shortage. It's just kind of like the mindset of the new instructors aren't quite as hungry. There's some that are very hungry. Actually, all instructors are hungry unless they live with their parents. But as far as like really strong desire to move up the food chain, and dude, I see you here too. And yeah, so the that's one thing causing a little shortage of instructors there. And like Wrench was saying, that it's very expensive to learn how to fly now. Everything's gone up, and I'll kind of go into a little bit later why I think the prices have gone up for flying and probably will continue to. So there's another thing out there that it's not just the airlines that are scooping up all the instructors, kind of lower time people and getting them into the airlines, but it's the airlines are also scooping up all the mechanics. So if there's these, you know, some guy goes in there and he just gets his aircraft mechanic license, and the airlines are scooping them up all over the place. So now you have the people learning on how to fly on the little airplanes. There's not enough mechanics to maintain them to keep them going. So there's like a bottleneck there too. So, yeah, so we're getting like kind of less starting off mechanics, and uh, it's kind of like the people that do employ those low time beginning apprentice mechanics. Well, first of all, there's not a lot of people going into that. It's just, I don't know, kids these days don't want to get their hands dirty. But, if you are going to be a mechanic, being an airplane mechanic is a lot cleaner than being a car mechanic. I can tell you that. Probably pays about the same, maybe a little more, and quite a bit more if you're going to be working for a big airline. But in general, if you're working on little engines, that's the same as car. It's cleaner than car engines generally. And so I think people that are into mechanics, being car mechanics, consider it an aviation mechanic, and you won't have trouble getting a job. That's for sure. So there's also another backlog there that's still ongoing with here in Canada, anyways. With Transport Canada, their people are retiring. They're onboarding new people that are unfamiliar with the job, and it takes them a little while to get up to speed. And there's still quite the paperwork backlog at Air Canada. That's been going, or sorry, at Transport Canada. That's been going on for forever. Like, I don't know, last 4 or 5 years or so, and it's not fixing itself. So, anyways, that's another thing that's kind of it's just another delay and another delay, and all these little delays, they all add up to a point where, hey, we got to cancel this flight, and so the airlines are kind of doing okay. They're showing a little bit of stress there. They're flying less routes, and they're packing more people onto the plane. So that's a little bit of a disruption for the customers, but they also got to pay the bills at the airline. So it's one of those trade-off things. Okay. So in general, what's happening in the aviation industry is kind of happening everywhere. From what I can see, this is part of my face validity. What do I see? Like, I had, just for example, my one neighbor, he retired last month, and 65, he retired. Another neighbor, he turned 65 last year, retired. So these boomers are like, they're just gone, boom. And yeah, the guy that was retired recently, I was talking to him over the fence out in the garden, and he said that he was gassing up his car, and he ran into a guy that worked at his shop that he worked at. And they went to hire someone to replace someone to replace my neighbor, and well, the guy just didn't show up. So they had like one guy applied, didn't show up, and there's a job opening there, and there's job openings everywhere in every industry that I see, anyways. So here we go, and let's see. So we're gonna go over will we have a recession or not? And then, okay, Wrench wants a solution. The engineer wants a solution. I could give a few. I could give like a few tips there, but I think it's going to be long and painful, basically. So here we go. Here I'm going to give you my official. I don't. I should have got my armchair out for my armchair quarterback here, but oh well, too bad I forgot. So why are we going to have a recession? These are my guesses. Okay, number one, labor shortage everywhere in aviation and everywhere else. So there we go. So it's kind of like this is going to cause, and we got some inflation's going nuts. You can have your different theories on that, but okay, inflation. Number two, boy, I'm like quite the economist today here, eh? And so that inflation makes it so things are expensive, and that makes, let's see if I can get this here. Less spending. So there we go. So if you got less spending, it's that's really expensive. I'll hold off on that. I'll put that. I'll put off buying a new car for another year. You kind of delay some purchases, or you just say, nah, I'm not going to do it. And because of the labor shortage, that's going to cause less production of anything. And I've heard that in machine shops here in Windsor. Let me get my little eraser here. I mean, they're hiring all over the place, and there's just nobody there. There's nobody there that can run the CNC mill or spin up a lathe or do anything. They're just all the guys retired, and then nobody got trained to replace them. So less production. So the definition of a recession is if you got 2 quarters of negative growth. I mean, there's tons of jobs out there, so I don't think people are going to be starving. It's a recession. See, the recessions that I've lived through was in the early 90s. Well, I guess you could say even, go back 10 years. There was, yeah. So, I was in Sudbury. I don't know if it was really a recession, but it was tough for that time because the mine went on strike for a year and I was unemployed for a bit. So that's around 2010-ish, around 2000, right after 9/11, the aviation industry just went down the tanks. I wasn't working in the aviation industry at the time, but that also in Windsor, I was working as a machinist and I was out of a job. Early 90s, I got right out of high school and everything, and you couldn't buy a job. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't. Like at McDonald's, they'd have a stack of resumes like this. There was no jobs. And then in the early 1980s, recession there, no jobs anywhere. So like there was like no jobs. But this recession is just going to be tons of jobs. Maybe the people aren't quite qualified enough to produce enough, and so the employers are losing money that they could make. I guess you call that, I don't know, opportunity cost or something. They're losing potential money that they could make, but the machine's sitting there because we don't have a guy to run it. Or I want to build these 10 houses in the subdivision, but I can't find a roofer, stuff like that. So that puts off, you get hung up on things. You're making less, doing less production, and you're making less money. Economy contracts a little bit there. There's your recession. And another thing here too, I would say too, is So when all the people out there decided to play it safe and shut the world economy down for a couple of years there for the pandemic, so that got people, working from home, not commuting. Uh, so if you're not commuting, and some of those people, they didn't go back to their jobs when they said, "Okay, hey, we want you in the office." And they said, "Nah, I'll just get a job over here. I'll work remotely." So now you got that car that's not getting beaten on every day. They're not spending as much money on gas. So kind of hangover effects from the pandemic there is less spending. So if that money's not going circulating through the economy there, okay, and you got used to like, oh, I'm not going to go out to a restaurant. Like restaurants, you know, I never really went to restaurants too much before, or bars or anything like that. But went to go see Travis's, my neighbor Travis's band at a bar, and it's like, geez, cost of beer went up, and then if you want to go get some like compared to like 5 years ago, everything's like I don't know, 50% more at least. And then because I'm cheap, I always get cheap meat on sale at the grocery store. Used to be able to get it for, oh yeah, you could always get it for 1.99 a pound or something like that for pork chops. Or now it's like 2.99. So if you think about it, it's like things have gone up that you like about 50% during the pandemic. I guess gas prices are up probably about 50%. There's a few extra little taxes here and there. And yeah, so all this stuff is there's going to be tons of jobs, but and so if you're thinking about like what would be the solution to, can we not have a recession? And from everything that I've seen, it's just that there have always like businesses, we see it especially here in Windsor, is that the automotive industry, since the automotive industry even started in Detroit across the river, and pretty much at the same time here in Windsor, every old guy will tell you that there's up times and there's down times, and there's no smoothing that over. It's so, but this is a weird one. It where I think there'll be lots of jobs, but it'll still be tough because things are going to get expensive. So I think what has to happen is that you have to regulate the cost of commodities and the cost of labor and interest rates. Like everything is, it's all going to have to kind of find its, what would you call that? Equilibrium. And then just like an airplane, hey, there we go. I brought it back. Stability of an airplane. Hey, actually, let's talk about the. Here we go. We can talk about the stability of an airplane. If you let go of it, maybe it might go down a bit. Then it goes a little faster, creates some lift, and then comes back up again. And you kind of run out of lift, and then the nose goes down, and then you gain some more speed, comes into lift, and you'll find airplanes will just kind of go around up and down just like that. And that's what the economies do. And it makes sense here, especially in Windsor, with an actual automotive industry where we're making a car, right? So how often do you make cars, or how often do you buy a car? Some people lease them for a couple years, or they buy a car, they put it on an 8-year payment plan or a 5-year payment plan, pay it off, get another one. That's what most people do. Me, I just drive a car and drive it into the ground. At least that's what I did with my last one. Hopefully this one here is going to last me another 20 years. I'm taking good care of it. But yeah, the other one, I beat that one into 450,000 kilometers. But anyways, good old Toyota Corolla. And yeah, so, but I'm not like most people. So most people, here in Windsor, you'd say like, okay, some guys would just be like, yeah, I get a new car every 5 years. Used to be like that when cars would rust out and start breaking down after 5. It's probably people get new cars every 10 years now, but that's your cycle. So it's like they and the way North Americans beat the snot out of their cars and don't wash them and let them rust and stuff. They're junk after 10 or 15. But if you take care of them, they should last a long time. But people don't do that. So that's the way the economy be. Okay, every 10 years, everyone's going out and buying cars. And I remember just probably 2018, 2019. I remember there was like they were pumping out Dodge trucks all over the place. They were selling like hotcakes and getting them on like 8-year payment plans. So I think what'll happen is that once the like the yeah, once like all those back 2018, so probably another 3 years from now, all those cars that they bought brand new, all those trucks they bought brand new a few years ago, now they're in the, oh, I gotta have a new truck, or I gotta have a new car because I didn't take care of it. And then then the economy will pick up probably another 3 years from now, something like that. Um, but it's gonna be a rough time, just like it's just the way it goes. The economy goes in cycles, and there's no avoiding it. Governments might tell you that. Oh, I don't talk about governments here, though. I might talk about rules of the aviation rules or something like that, but I'm not getting into policy. So I thought I don't know. I couldn't think of something to say today, but it was just like, uh, after I took a little motorcycle ride over in Detroit on, what was it, last Friday, and so that video was up on my channel, and a little motorcycle ride there, and just seeing how like the economy goes up and down for especially the automotive industry, and over the years, and it kind of got me thinking in like that ups and downs of the economy. So that's why I figured I'd just talk about it today. Hopefully, I related that a little bit towards aviation. Aviation's going to get more expensive. It's still going to be tons of flying jobs out there if you want to move, or actually, yeah, pretty much. And it's going to be. Oh, and I was going to mention there too, if you want to be an air traffic controller, that pays a lot, and they're hiring too. So I mean, everybody's hiring everywhere, and if you want, you can, if you're in Canada, apply to Nav Canada. And I know I've put this on my Twitter page before, kind of retweeted it, that yeah, they're hiring for air traffic controllers. I think in the States too. At least I know in England they're doing that. I'm not sure exactly what the requirements in the States are, but here in Canada, you just got to have a high school diploma. Same with over in England, and they give you these tests. But it's those air traffic controllers. They got like special brains, so that's why they get paid so much, because they're like that real brainiac kind of 5% of the population that could possibly even do that type of work. So they're kind of rare, so that's why they get the money. And you got to be able to imagine things in your head moving at different, okay, I have 8 airplanes coming together in my head, and they might have a little radar there, and then, oh, radar went out. Okay, direct the traffic. Okay, I still have it in my head. You go here, you go here, and they can do that. Like, so if you got a good excuse me, if you're pretty smart and you're good with spatial awareness and that, you can make a fortune, or not a fortune, but really good living at being an air traffic controller. So here we go. Yep. So that's about it. Will we have a recession? Yeah, but I think so. But it'll be different. It'll be because of uh, inflation, less spending in general, and but there's going to be a recession with full employment. And so anywhere right now, I don't care what you say. It's like if someone's unemployed right now, it's because they don't want to work. It's like me. I'm sort of unemployed right now. I don't want to work. I'm cool. I'm good with part time. So yeah. So that's about it. Just kind of yakking in general in the basement today. But I managed to get a little something done. I'll just go through the little chat here, see if there's any questions, interesting comments, etc., etc. And what else we got here? Okay. Our Ranch was asking here, so people ever retire from the airline left seat, then go teach students? Not really too much. You see, the thing is right now, even still, I knew a guy that was a retired Air Canada captain, And he was doing his instructor rating the same time as me. I was just starting off, and he'd already retired. And he thought, I'll get to spread some knowledge and go on and get up in the air. And yeah, what the heck? We'll get my instructor rating. And so he paid all this money and everything, got his instructor rating, and then he was going to get hired. And so we were at this hiring meeting. He and I were getting hired at the same time at this flight school. And then he never asked like how much instructors were making at the time. So it was the funniest thing that this guy, uh, you big shot, top wage captain retires, and he asked, well, yeah, how much do these instructors get paid here? And then the chief flight instructor at the time says, oh, $16 an hour. And the guy's face, just like his jaw actually dropped. $16 an hour. I've never seen anyone's like jaw actually drop because he was astonished. But this guy was like, "Ooh." And then his brain just kind of shut off for a little bit there. And then we went over to the counter afterwards, and he was like, I don't know if I could do. I didn't. He was just like, he's like, I used to make $450 an hour, like, or something crazy amount. And it was like, yeah, I think it was like 400 or 450 an hour he used to make. And he's like, and then he didn't do it. He just went fishing and rode his motorcycle around. But yeah, so generally, for the air, for the captains that retire and stuff, they don't really. They might usually they'll fly kind of for fun when they want to. Some of them are just sick, and they're sick of flying, and they just throw their flight bag in the corner and go fishing. And yeah, not a lot of them go stick around and instruct. It's kind of like, okay, I've done my work. I'm not working again. And being a flight instructor is not the easiest job either. It's sort of a young man's game, or you got to really, really, really like it. Once you get a bit older, you could do it part time. It's pretty enjoyable, but it can be pretty taxing when you're starting out. So yeah, so you probably won't see too many airline captains that are retired that are doing just regular flight training. Okay. And then Wrench is asking, are you allowed to say co-pilot? Yeah. It's usually, actually, it's something I kind of don't. It's kind of weird. Co-pilot. Yeah, it's kind of like when you are, it's like pilot. Yeah, it's actually, you know what? I think any of the guys that work in the airlines, they don't say co-pilot. They'll say like first officer. Um, Yeah, although you kind of work as a team anyways, and then it goes from pilot flying to pilot not flying, and they trade off duties back and forth. So, yeah, co-pilot's kind of, I guess it's kind of outdated. Uh, okay, what else we got here? Jim's talking about paying off personal debt, stack precious metals, maybe cash, maybe stocks and bonds. Yeah, whatever, whatever you want. I know if you own a house right now, the prices are going up. Like tangible assets, like a house, airplanes, even used cars are going up. So, uh, yeah, if you actually own a thing, that whole inflation's kind of that thing is still going up the way that the money supply and everything as it's correcting. It's yeah, so that's like housing has gone up like crazy everywhere. And but I don't know, it's all kind of part of the inflation and everything. So uh but owning actual stuff, precious metals, yeah, I guess that'd be okay. Okay. And then Wrench is also saying he doesn't know in Canada, but only 46% of people in the US have a job. Those 54% retired kids. Yeah, probably. What do we got here? Okay, it's nice to see that I'm not I'm not the only uh, backyard economist or basement schemer here. We got some good comments in here about well, who knows how this economy stuff works exactly. 'Cause you'd think if anybody really understood how the economy worked, there'd be someone out there way richer than Elon Musk. Like, "I know for sure it's gonna go down on this day. Okay, I'll bet my life on it because I know. Boom. Alright. Billions, 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 trillions, trillions, trillions," but I you can only do, like, best guesses, I think. Dee, dee, dee. Okay, there we go. Well, Shecky's got a 2008 Jeep, still running strong. 95 Nissan Pathfinder, about done. You know what? Jeeps are an interesting. I had a Jeep years ago, Jeep YJ, and Jeeps are really interesting that they just don't depreciate. If you got a Jeep now, they're kind of bumpy and rattly, especially like the Jeeps that you can take the top off. They really don't depreciate that much, and they're a little hard on gas and a little bit not that comfortable. You're bouncing around, but as far as a car that doesn't depreciate, those Jeeps are amazing. They just kind of go down to a level and just stay there and kind of creep up. So, anyways, hang on to that Jeep. Don't let it rust out. Okay. So that's about it. Okay. And Jeeps are slow. Yeah. I remember in my Jeep, I was trying to, and they're like aerodynamic as a brick. I thought one day I was gonna go. Where was I driving to? About 3 hour drive away, and I just had it to the floor the whole time. I was going, yeah, I was speeding, but it could only go up to about 85 miles an hour, 140 kilometers an hour, just jamming all the gas into the carburetor. And I drove. I'm trying to think. I had to gas up on the way back. It was only like, yeah, I don't know. I was getting like absolute garbage gas mileage on it if you hammer it down. It's not worth it. And okay. So there we go. And Jim's not a Jeep fan. Oh, geez, Jim. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't buy. I got a Volkswagen. So, anyways, just I had my fun with the Jeep. It's good in the snow. Good 4-wheel drive. But, anyways, yeah. So that's about it for today. Well, I managed to yak for half an hour or so. So thanks for showing up, anyways, guys. And you can check out if you haven't checked it out on my. I put the video out last night of me riding through Detroit a little bit on my motorcycle. One of these days, I got to get the camera all figured out just right. But it's a you get what you pay for. So there we go. Good luck on the recession, everyone. Okay, so we're gonna shut her down here. And we'll see. Oh, wait. Yeah, today. We'll see you on Wednesday because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. And thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.